I'm going to let you go.
Okay. All right. Send you, Karen. Send you lots of energy.
Hello. Welcome. Welcome to tonight's live. If you are here, if you stop by and like to say hello, please say hello in the chat. Maybe where you're checking in from, where you're tuning in from. I'm happy to know whoever's out there who's with me tonight. So tonight's topic is about you are important and how your mental health is connected to the mental health of the earth, which I think is a really interesting subject, especially as someone who's done so much work with body and mind and healing and also for the earth. So I want to start the live by sharing a quote that I came upon a few years ago that I absolutely love. I've heard it several times. I've heard it recited in several places since then. And it's just so kind of, I think it's really perfect for tonight's topic. Hello, Julie. Welcome. Thanks for stopping in. So this is a quote by a man named Gus Speth. I'm not sure if you've ever heard of him. He's an environmental lawyer and an advocate who co-founded the Natural Resources Defense Council. And he said this, I'm going to read it to you. I came across this quote about 8 years ago, so I'm not exactly sure when he said it, but it was more than 8 years ago. And it is this. He says, I used to think the top environmental problems were biodiversity loss, ecosystem collapse, and climate change. I thought that with 30 years of good science, we could address those problems. But I was wrong. The top environmental problems are selfishness, greed, and apathy. And to deal with those, we need a spiritual and cultural transformation. And we scientists don't know how to do that. So that's Gus Speth's quote. And I think that perfectly leads us into this topic because he's talking about the science of the condition of the earth. And he's even linking it with what he calls a spiritual cultural transformation. And I want to just say that's where we begin to talk about mind and mental health and emotional well-being. Anything spiritual is deeply personal. It starts with the individual. So we need to look into this. What is he talking about here? This transformation that scientists don't know how to do. Who knows how to do it then? This is a transformation that each one of us can do in our own way inside of us. And why? Why am I saying that? Why am I so confident that that will have a profound impact on the earth? And the first reason is because of energy. So anyone who out there may be watching who knows about the energy system, the energy field, how energy flows in our body, and how energy flows between us will understand what I'm talking about. If you're not familiar with it, we can even just start by looking at emotions. So this is where the topic of mental health and emotional health and emotional well-being comes up right away, because emotions are energy. Emotions are energy, which means you can feel them, but you can't see them. So if somebody is angry, you don't necessarily see something shooting out of their body, but if you come near them, you can feel it, right? Same with sadness or very extreme anxiety. And you might be going along your day feeling okay, but you might talk to someone who is in an extreme state of anxiety, and then it affects you. And that's because we all have this energy system. And I like to refer to it as an energy body. So obviously we have a physical body, and then we have this energy body that sort of the emotions flow inside of us through energy, and then they also ripple out, they expand beyond us because of the energy body. And then because of your energy body, you also can detect this energy, this emotional ripple, and then it affects you and your mind and your happiness and your state of well-being. And every living thing has an energy body. Every living thing that's alive and breathing life itself is energetic, right? That's why you can go to the forest and you can sit near a tree and you can feel so deeply calm. You can feel a transmission of that peaceful energy in nature, right? Again, feel free to chime in here if I'm off or if I'm on and you agree with me. But if you're sitting by a river, or isn't this why we go to a mountain? Because we feel more peaceful. And at that time, you're feeling the energy body of the earth, which is just nature itself, this tranquility, this very calm and peaceful. And sometimes we even feel loving or very embracing or kind of neutral, non judgmental, embracing energy from nature. And I think this is why so many people love to go to nature and feel peace in nature. I know that's what I feel. And it's so soothing to connect with that vibration. This is a resonance that we connect with because we are energy and the earth is energy. So we're receiving that vibration, and conversely, the earth is receiving our vibration. So it's an exchange happening. So if our vibration is very turbulent, if there's a lot of upset, unprocessed anger, if there's a lot of self-hatred, we're putting out a certain vibration, right? Again, you know that. You may not know that about yourself when you're in it. We don't realize it, but we definitely can feel it from others, from loved ones and people close to us, and sometimes not even close to us. If we're just somewhere and someone, in the store, in the grocery store in line, and there's someone and they're really irritated and agitated, we get that vibration. And then we might have, a not good day because of that. It might really affect our evening because that vibration influences our health and peace. So the same goes for the earth and all living things. And there has been many studies, and I cannot quote them perfectly because I don't have them here in front of me, but you can always find them, about people who study about plants or water, and how if you are talking negatively to a plant, it affects even their growth. If you talk lovingly to a plant, it flourishes. It's healthier, it becomes more vibrant. So this is the interconnectedness between all living things. It's through this wave or this vibration or resonance that is energy. It's energetic. So really it comes down deep to our consciousness. What kind of consciousness we have is either going to impact how bright we are, and if we're putting bright thoughts, bright feelings, more peace and love and gratitude, and that wave is going out, then that's going to affect nature, and that's going to affect the earth, just as the same way it's going to affect your plant. The problem is we live our lives feeling very micro, like on a micro scale. We don't see our connection. We don't see how important we are. So that's why this is part of the title here. We don't realize our interconnectedness and just how important we are. That even what we feel and what we say is going out there and creating a ripple. And so we might think, oh, that's just, just me, just little old me, one person. What effect do I really have? What impact can I really have? But think about if everyone is just one little old me, one little old me, one little old me. If more and more and more and more people really realize how important they are, this is going to have a direct impact to the vibration that we're putting out on the consciousness. So not only is it good for the rest of humanity, it has a positive influence on other people, the people that we communicate with on a day-to-day basis, the people who we interact with all over the world through social media. It's becoming a global village. We are so connected. So what wave are we putting out there? Is it a fear wave? Is it an angry wave? This is not only going to affect other people in humanity, but it also impacts nature and the earth. So, and I've heard another quote, like outside, like inside. The outside is just a reflection of our inner world. So if you see the condition of the earth, or I could say if you see the condition of humanity, and all of the hate that's out there, the anger, the fear that's constantly being circulated, then it makes a lot of sense when we see the health of the earth. The problem is that, if you don't believe it, you don't believe it. But actually, it's not something that is meant to be believed. It's something that we need to awaken our sense about, our senses. So that's why it's so important for you to take care of your energy and take care of your mental health, your emotional well-being, whatever way works for you. Whether that's walking and jogging outside in nature, or your own yoga and meditation, or your own kind of therapies or support groups, or the things that you are studying and learning to develop yourself into the brighter version of yourself. Whatever way that works best for you, that's the best way. So we don't have to worry about right or wrong here. All we have to know is we are connected not only to each other, but to the earth. So therefore, if I do the work to make myself healthier, internally healthier, mentally healthier, if I really take that journey to be more aware of my thoughts and emotions and what kind of vibration I'm putting out there into the world each and every day, if we take that journey, then we start to realize it's not only good for me, right? So it begins that way. It's good for me. So this is really a win-win kind of thing. And in a recent video, I was talking about this word hong ik, this widely benefiting concept. And here it comes up again. It's a win-win, widely benefiting thing when I take care of my own mental, emotional well-being. When I cultivate myself, when I learn how to, it doesn't mean to force down negative feelings. When I learn how to process my emotion, my negativity, my hurt, and I develop my gratitude, my peace, my love, naturally, I'm putting that wave out into the world. So that's the first thing I wanted to talk about is this energy and energy body and how we are connected through this energy, through this vibration. through this wave, and how our inside is directly reflected outside of us in our lives, in our relationships, and on our planet, for our planet. So that's sort of getting into the sort of spiritual and invisible part. Energy is a really important part of that, because energy is where it begins. Energy is where your mind, your mental, emotional condition affects your body and also transmits outside of you to others and to all living things. But if we take it a step further, kind of away from just the invisible world, which may be for some people it's hard to grasp. And again, for those who it is hard to grasp, I cannot emphasize enough the importance of training your senses, training yourself to wake up your senses. More mindfulness exercises, breath work. It could be different kinds of yoga or Tai Chi or Qigong, where you're cultivating your Qi. I think it's important for more and more of us to feel this is not just for our pleasure, but it's a responsibility that we have. It's a responsibility. And that's what I wanted to kind of say earlier when I was talking about this win-win idea. Doing that work for myself is not only just good for me, but it's actually good for others. And ultimately, it's good for the health of the planet. Now, I say that with a slight bit of caution, because there was a time in my life where if you told me that my own emotions were affecting the health of the earth, I would probably feel really stressed out, and I would probably feel really sorry and guilty and worried, which is humorous, right? Because now I'm just creating a lot more ripples, a vibration in the opposite direction of where I want to be. So I say that with caution, meaning we don't need to be hard on ourselves. In fact, just the very act of being a little more kind to yourself, a little more forgiving, a little more gentle, a little more patient, a little more, giving yourself a break. At that moment, you put down those emotions of guilt, worry, all those doubt spirals that we can get into. You're putting down that vibration, and you're just letting yourself be tranquil for the moment, finding some state of neutrality and calm in the moment. And this is very healing. Now we're putting that ripple out. So if you see it from the other perspective, not just a micro perspective, but a macro perspective, it's not only good for me, but it's good for the earth too. So rather than to cause you any guilt about that, but hopefully, and this is what I have found as I continued my journey of inner healing, was that actually became a source of inspiration for me. Just deeply understanding how connected we are. And again, how important I am. It doesn't mean I'm so important and I'm more important than others. No, it just means each moment, how I manage my inner world, what I choose to put out there is having a ripple effect. And that can motivate me to want to be more self-aware, to want to be more positive, to do more healing on myself. Again, it's not about stuffing anything or trying to push away hurting parts of myself. It's more like, well, let me look at that and let me work on myself and let me face this, because whatever I do that's good for me is ultimately good for this earth. It's good for the planet. It's not only about me. So some of you might find that's a source of motivation. Once you really feel it, once you really feel the interconnectedness between us and between us and all living things, it's a source of motivation to work on ourselves, So Gus Speth, he talks about greed and selfishness. These are a mental health problem, right? This is at the root of the problem. So the more of us who are making choices to examine ourselves more closely and work through maybe our own selfishness, maybe our own greed. It's not that any of us are perfect and without those things, but those of us who want to learn how to manage ourselves, learn how to work on ourselves so that we can keep putting more light and love out there into the world, because we know this is the best thing that I can do for the planet. I'm doing a great thing for the earth at the moment that I set up that mindset. And the earth has given so much to me, so much to us, that at least I can do the journey of self-reflection and healing and processing my emotions. To me, mental health doesn't mean not having any negative emotions. Good mental health doesn't mean just only being happy and positive all the time. Not at all. Not at all. That's not realistic. So we don't need to be hard on ourselves that way either. Mental health is about awareness, about taking time to be with myself and feel myself and look at myself. And what kind of vibration am I putting out there? And then do the process of embracing myself and moving myself into a deeper state of self-acceptance and self-love. And now we're putting those more positive, healing, neutral waves out there. So you can experiment about this with a plant if you would like to. I saw it many times in the past where there would be two plants, and one of them, everyone keeps saying, this is in a classroom or something, and all the kids keep saying, I hate you, and the other one, they say, I love you. But one plant dies and one plant is growing strong. So anyone can do that experiment anytime and understand more about energy and consciousness. Now, the second thing I want to say is, when we cultivate ourselves that way and we're feeling more healthy and positive inside, we're more able to manage our emotions. We're more able to be with our sadness and our fear and not let it run rampant, but learn how to accept it. Then we are able to make healthier choices and actions. So this piece is sort of related not just to the energy or the invisible world, but just physically. What kind of choices and actions am I making on a daily basis? And we have been talking about this a lot in other videos. What actions am I doing to live a healthy, earth-conscious lifestyle? I believe it's very hard to make those choices and take those actions if we are just in mental, emotional duress. If we're just struggling every day to get out of our own despair, of course, it's hard then to see what kind of actions can I take to make a positive impact on the planet. We're just thinking about surviving day to day. And I understand that. And it's so important to get out from that space. And that doesn't mean just change your mind and get out. That means do the work. Make the choices, because once you become more healthy and stable inside your mind, your heart, it will also be very natural for you to consider these next choices and actions. What is something I can do for the earth today? How can I upgrade my own lifestyle to be more earth conscious? I think when we're not consumed by negative emotions and extreme stress and worries, we have more space to consider that. We feel the joy of being human, and we feel our gratitude for the planet more easily. So then naturally we want to take those actions. So this is another way that your mental health is directly connected to the health of the planet. Because if everyone is just completely drowning in their own mental health struggles, there's no space for us to look from this macro level and do the work that needs to be done. So if you're here watching me and you agree, I would love to hear about it in the chat box, or if you have any question about anything that I'm talking about. One of the reasons why I love this topic is because and mostly everything that we talk about here surrounding it, mind and energy and emotion and the connection, is all very, very simple. This is why I love it. It's very simple and it's very common sense. And probably those of you who are watching this video, you're like, yes, I already know that. But it's one thing to know it, and then it's another thing to make day-to-day application of it. And this is what I want to encourage through the video. It's one thing to know, of course, we're all interconnected. And of course, my mental health will affect other people and other living things. Maybe you never thought about that. Or maybe you're just thinking about it now. But again, it's not enough to just be thinking about it and then know about it. Everything will transform, as Gus Speth said. The spiritual and cultural transformation will happen when we make a culture that starts with the individual. So a culture is formed by many, many, many individuals who know that they have truly important role on this planet and who take time to feel myself and look at myself and become aware of my mental and emotional health condition every day, day after day, in the morning, in the afternoon, in the evening. Again, I have said this before, and I have had students who become very overwhelmed by that. But truly, as we realize, as we sense it, as we become aware, it happens very naturally. That I want to be aware of what wave I'm putting out more and more and more. And if I put out a very upset wave, it's okay. Quickly, I can accept myself just the way that I am and return to a more peaceful wave. How quickly can I return to a more peaceful wave? So I think this is the kind of culture that we need to develop, a culture of really where the critical mass, the collective, is focusing on this inner management and this self-awareness and making their energy body to be more peaceful and bright and loving and filled with gratitude. Just increasing that, just increasing it a little day by day through more awareness, through more determination to do the healing, to do the shifting, to do the clearing, the cleansing, the processing, the letting go that needs to be done so that we can come back to that peaceful state more and more often. So the more people who are doing that, then we form a culture of it. And so then not only are we putting out this positive wave and ripple, but we're also, as I just said, more likely to take actual choices and actions each day, to find the time and the space in our mind to do it each day. And this will be healing of this collective greed and selfishness that he's talking about in that quote, that he's talking about as the root of the problem. So we can't, run around changing people, changing systems, changing corporations. We can feel powerless when we focus that way. But if we just focus on how important I am in changing me, then a new sense of hope arises inside, and we can inspire others with that hope. So that's what I'm encouraging all of you to consider in this video, how truly important you are, and to just continuously keep checking in and upgrading. And again, remember, mental health, you can have good days and bad days. It's more about learning how to accept yourself just the way you are and come back to a neutral state. Come back to a place where it's okay. And so then we can share a positive vibration in return for the amazingly positive and healing vibrations we get from nature. So then we begin to have a more conscious relationship with nature. This is what I want to share about today on the topic of mental health. It's a very important topic to me because mental health is something that I struggled with for my whole life. And it's been a really beautiful process of learning how to work with my inner waves and see the impact of how that affects others, and also know how that's impacting my relationship with the earth. And then conversely, I get the benefit of recognizing my own worth and value and importance here in this large macro picture. So that's what I want to say today. I don't see any questions here, but you are always welcome to write them in the comments. You're welcome, Julie. Thank you for being here. I'm glad that the explanation was helpful. It really is a very simple thing, but sometimes we get so complicated in our mind. This is another aspect of mental health. We get so complicated. Our inner world is so complex. Yes, please feel free to ask a question. I'm happy to answer it. So sometimes we're the ones that are too complicated, and we just need to come back to the simple moment with ourselves. Like the simple fact of the matter, if you go out into nature, you're going to feel nature's vibration. When you're sitting there, the next time you're sitting there in a forest or by a river, please recognize this is energy. And I'm feeling it because we are connected. So if the earth's energy is affecting me, then of course my energy will be affecting the earth through this same vibration. Okay, Julie's saying, at times when I walk alone in the woods, I feel some fear, like someone is watching me. Why is that? Well, I think that that's very much a product of our society, right? I don't think there's any shortage of scary movies about that kind of thing. And there's also no shortage of bad news, quote unquote, out there of people who are attacked or the unfortunate things that happen. These are very unfortunate things that happen in the world. And then that is kind of broadcasted to us from many different directions, whether it is the news or the media or social media. Everyone's talking about those things, and then we grow fear inside. So I completely understand. I know that feeling. I've had it too. And I probably have had that feeling in many different places because I think we're all sensitive to that news and that information. So it's up to you how you want to work with that, how you want to work with that fear. And anything is okay, right? So it might be, maybe I kind of just enjoy going into the forest when I can go with someone else. Maybe that's what you do. Or maybe you just say, oh, I'm going to let that go. I know that's just because I watched that movie or I heard that story. I'm going to be okay. Maybe that's what you do. And I'm not saying one way is better than the other. You have to kind of just be true to yourself and be kind to yourself. How are you going to manage that fear? Or maybe you say, well, I feel safe to go to this particular park or this section of the park or the forest. And that's perfectly okay. We don't have to go, immerse ourselves in deep nature and be fearless. It's very normal. It's very normal. whether it's society or the news or just our instinctive ego fear to be safe, to want to be safe. It's normal that fear will arise, but you can work with it. You can work with that fear. You might be able to tell yourself, there's absolutely nothing to be afraid of. It's okay. Or you might be a person who says, no, I just need to not do that because I'm not going to be able to put out joy, gratitude, and love because I'm too consumed by the fear. And that's also okay. Everything is okay. Does that help you, Julie? I hope that's a sufficient answer. It's really important to me to let people know that all emotions that they feel are perfectly okay. Even if we do feel the fear, the sadness, the anger, that's what I'm saying. It's unrealistic that we're going to be without those things. And it's also not the case that we're bad because we feel them. That's not the point at all. The point is we are connected. We just have to understand the effect. And then we just work on ourselves. And then, even to speak to Julie's question, when Julie works on her fear, she's helping herself, helping others, helping the planet, whatever she chooses to do to process with it. It's when we're not aware, right? And when it's just controlling us and we're just angry and scared and sad and it's just spewing everywhere and we're not aware. Or if someone says, oh, maybe we need to be aware of this, and we just blame that person and we're like, that's crazy, and we don't want to be aware of our interconnectedness. That's where bigger problems arise. That's where then we can be selfish and greedy without any awareness, without any uncomfortable feeling in our conscience. So the more we are sensitive to ourselves and aware, the more we can heal those things and work through those things. Okay, so I hope that was helpful. Thank you for your question again, Julie. And if you're seeing this video later, you can feel free to write any question in the comments. We will try to answer you. And I want to remind you here as I wrap up, the call to action for Earth Management TV is for each of us to try to do one good thing for the Earth each day. So please consider what you can do today. And maybe it's just having time to process your emotion and bring yourself into a more peaceful, grateful state. This too will be very good for the Earth. So thank you so much. Have a wonderful day. We'll see you next time. Bye.